Composer Pro. I'm just going to cancel the default templates. I want to make my own for this, and I'm going to add a couple of theme blocks. There are videos on how to do this and other basics. I'm going to change the tempo to 80 beats per minute on each of these blocks. I could have changed the general default one, so each one would have started at 80, but you can change them individually. I'm also going to change this second block to A minor. So we've got C in the first block, A minor in the second, and each block will just go for a straight 8 bars per block. Now I'm going to choose the instruments for this piece. I want 2 harps and a flute because I want to make a light Celtic sound, and show you how quickly this can be done in ORB Composer. So there the instruments loaded up. It's important to know that the ORB Composer itself does not produce any sounds. It produces MIDI data, which I've routed through to my DAW, which is Reaper. And then within that I've got the 2 harp sounds loaded and the flute using the Reaper and GPO5 orchestral sounds. You could use East West, Quantum Leap, Spitfire Audio. There are many different good ones out there. What I'm going to do now is just add the blocks of music for each of those instruments and the theme blocks. I want all these to be melodies, and I want them to differ in pitch and also in the way that they sound, whether there are many notes or a few notes in each one. As you can see, I'm just changing the harp here to a higher register. And the second harp, I want to be in the middle. I want it to be a melody as well. And the flute needs to have long notes on it. So that sounds quite reasonable. It's certainly the sound that I want. This harp isn't doing very much at the moment. I'd like it to be a little bit busier in terms of the melody. So we'll just go back in to edit that. Have a look at the register. Let's see if we can get more of a bass sound from it. No, that would work with some instruments, but I think for the harp it needs to be slightly higher. It's just, otherwise it's too deep and booming. We'll have a look at the second block now, and again choose long notes for the flute, which is a flute solo. Go into the rhythm here. I want to make this a little bit busier, so we'll have a look at that. And also we need to make these harps melodies, and also adjust the busyness and complexity of the notes that they produce. One again in the high register, and it needs to be a melody. So just have a listen to the second section now. You see that's now changed into the key of A minor, which we previously set. That's okay. I just want to beef up the second harp a little bit there. Because I've got them both set at melodies, or all 3 instruments set at melodies, you get that nice sort of counterpoint effect on the harps. You can change the chords just by pressing the chord button, and it will put the chords within that key. I'm just going to take this flute down a little bit in terms of its busyness. That's nice. And as you can see, we're already getting some nice sounding music pretty much out of the box. The key with this particular software is being able to change the parameters and knowing how to drive it. So you still, as a composer, need to have some framework, some ideas around what you're going to do. Again, just tweaking some of the rhythm values there. Going back into the DAW, we can see the MIDI data that's being passed across for these instruments, and with it being now sent to the DAW, we can do the things that we would normally do, such as panning, changing the volume, etc. These are the two harps. Flute is a little bit loud. I'll just bring that back a bit into the mix. In some respects, the ability to route everything into your DAW gives you the ability to do all the DAW functionality with something you already know. I'm just changing the beat to the same as what's in the ORB Composer. And I'm going to record. And as you can see, the MIDI data that's being passed across is now being recorded in this case in Reaper or whatever DAW you choose or are familiar with. So once we actually stop this, we would then be able to, if we were happy with it, close down ORB Composer altogether and carry on working within the DAW, make any changes we wanted to the piano roll, change instruments, change the notes, do whatever we want to do. One thing I have noticed is because each of the channels has to listen for the MIDI data in ORB Composer, if you've got a lot of instruments active at one time, then that can place quite a strain on the CPU. We're happy with that. So we'll stop that, and now that's recorded in the DAW should we want to just carry on in Reaper in this case. But what I want to do now is to add to this and put in another theme or another block if you like. I'll show you that we can do 16 bars should we want to do. I understand it goes up to 160 if possible, but you probably never would want to do that. So again, I'm going to set the tempo and I'm going to add the music blocks. Again, we want them all melody in this particular case because that suits the kind of music that we are writing, which is that light Celtic feeling music. And again, just adjusting the rhythms and making sure that the notes are going to sound in the right register, depending on the type of instrument. If it has a high range of low to high notes, then you could experiment with that. Some instruments have a very narrow range, so you won't get much out of that. Here's the new bit that we've just added. Now, because we've put 16 bars in the one block, it can get a bit repetitive, so we'll try and change some of the chords. As I say, you may want to then further edit your composition in your DAW, because ORB Composer is to give you a starting point, although it is pretty good out of the box. We'll just change that tempo. And now we've slowed this last block down. There are ways within ORB Composer of slowing down within a block, or intensifying, or changing the momentum of the piece. It's extremely versatile for that, And again, there are other videos available which would show you how to do that. Let's change the key to D minor on this, and you'll see how easily, we'll just move that back up to higher speed, and you will see how easily the music has changed but kept its overall structure. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this brief overview. I'll be back with some more videos. This is my very first one. I've only had ORB Composer for a couple of days, and there will be a lot more to come.